Water right here.
My friends, welcome back, gentle listeners. This is Sex Coach Lauren on Desire Dialogues. And today we're going to have a fun, special, little candid conversation with one of my oldest, dearest friends. And I love when do these interviews. I ask the same questions, but as you can always see it, you get these different answers, which I just find it so interesting. So let's get it off. I'm going to introduce you to my special guest, Fred. Hi, Fred.
Hi, Lauren. How are you, my love?
Oh, I'm so great. And I'm so excited to be able to have these conversations with you. I'm sure, we've talked about sex so much over the years.
So much.
We had some crazy 20s, my dear. Oh, we had a good time. So let's start off with my favorite question. What was sex ed like for you when you grew up?
Oh boy. Sex ed was a combination of learn as you go and, and whatever our schools taught us, right? So, did the whole condom on the banana thing, did the whole STD thing. But we grew up in an age of, AOL Instant Messenger, not to date ourselves, but,
I love
you
it.
know. So, like, I learned more from the internet than I ever learned from any classes that we had in school. So
And
it
I
was,
think that's beneficial in a way,
yeah, I mean, there's some positives, but I mean, there's definitely some risks associated with it.
Yeah.
I found I found my first partner on the internet.
Did you really? I did not know that.
I did, yeah. And being gay, almost exclusively found partners on the internet. It was,
Oh,
like we're talking like early to mid 2000s, still
yeah.
kind of a taboo subject. It wasn't easy to find someone, even if they were just a couple of houses down.
Yeah. And interesting that it was a little bit easier. Was it easier to be yourself on AOL?
Yes, definitely easier to be myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the gift of technology. With everything, there's always the two sides of the coin, too, right? With technology, learning things as you go and online, sometimes it's harmful, but then finding your first partner and having a platform to actually be who you are, that's really
Mm,
something special. Wow.
yeah, for sure.
So what did you learn? What did you Google when you were trying to learn as you go? If Google was a thing, then I totally forget. I think it was Bing or something. I don't remember.
Uh, you know what? It may have even been Ask Jeeves.
It was. Oh, it was. What'd you
You
Google?
know, I don't ever recall Googling anything to learn about sex. I think it was more just I got into the porn side of it, and just
Mhm.
I learned a lot more from porn than I think any one person should. Especially at that age, like we're talking 13, 14 years old, and I'm learning about things that, some Gen X and boomers haven't even heard of in their
It's a good point. Now, I remember, like I don't even remember my first time using porn. I think I was introduced to it by a partner. I was a bit of a late bloomer. I did not have sex until I think I was 19, and I was with that partner for 3.5 years. And then it was just like pop a can of Pringles. It was on. It's like you can't
life.
stop after that. It was a great time. I don't remember, but my taste in porn has absolutely changed over the years from threesomes to I actually love watching homosexual porn, to be honest with you, like group homosexual porn too. I'm like, the more dicks, the better. And then I've done the cuckold, I've done the cuck queen, group like, oh, has your taste in porn changed over the years too?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started, it would just be a picture, like I'd see some hot guy
Yeah.
and I'd be like, okay, this is doing it for me. Or even like I specifically remember when as the Sunday newspaper would come
Yes.
and the Sears catalog, and I would look at the guys in their underwear, and that would be enough for me.
Wow. Yes. I
Could
remember.
find porn in the Sears catalog. Like
I
now
get
it's it's a lot more a lot more varied, like I went from that to, just kind of some, generic gay porn, like you get the big buff men and they're all pounding each other like, like there's no sensuality to it. It's just like I'm gonna stick this in and I'm gonna pound it until I finish, you
Nice.
know. And
How
they'd
does
all be
that
like,
affect you? How does
I
that
mean,
affect you?
that is honestly how I did things for a long time.
Wow.
Like I didn't really know anything else. And granted, it didn't seem to bother anybody that I was with.
You realized you needed more, and there is actually a lot more involved than just that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. I remember
Um,
softcore porn was a thing. Do you remember softcore porn where they didn't like show anything? It was just like, this is what's happening, but you don't know about it.
it was kind of enough to like get you going, but not enough to really do anything,
The
you know?
imagination. And now with porn, it's like so immersive in a way without wearing the 3D goggles, right? Um, it doesn't leave much to the imagination, which I feel bad for this generation, being grown into porn when it's like at such a it's just such a different how far we've come with it. And just like technology, it grows and it kind of doesn't really leave too much for the imagination. And again, it leaves a lot of room for misconceptions about how things can go. So,
Mhm. Mhm. I will tell you that if I had someone like you, kind of explaining, um, okay, this is what you're seeing, but this is the reality, and explaining everything in between, I would be a much different person, or I would have been a much different person earlier on than I am now. Um, being with someone now is more, like I'm more interested in making sure they're feeling good and
yeah.
making sure that they're having the best time possible. And whether or not I get off is almost irrelevant.
Oh. And not a lot of people feel that way. And I think that's maybe something that happens as we grow older or as we become in a more consent focused thing. And it is, you mentioned sensual earlier. Yes, we're all sexual human beings, but each different person does need a bit of that sensual and emotional and slower side. And I hope everybody just embraces that. Know that there is no right or wrong amount. It is the amount that you need in that specific moment, and that is it. And if you want to ask what that other partner needs, you want to slow down and tune into them, that's going to only make the experience better and more likely that they'll show up for it next time. So I
Yeah,
really hope you,
seriously.
yeah, we learn as we go, and hmm. So how has your perspective on love and intimacy evolved over time, besides what we just said?
It's funny you're asking that because I was actually just thinking about one of my first partners.
Yeah.
And when I say first partner, I mean like first romantic relationship. You may or may not have met him. It was senior year of high school. So
Okay.
um, I remember like we had some of the best sex that we had ever had, or at least that I had ever had, right? I
Yeah.
remember coming out of it thinking like, oh my God, like he looked like he was moaning in ecstasy. And I told some of my close friends at the time, like, like it was the best sex and this is what happened. And he happened to catch wind of what I was saying and just looked at me and said, no, Fred, that really fucking hurt. Right. Like
Oh wow.
I
Wow.
wasn't enjoying it as much as you were. What was happening there? Yeah, I was moaning like crazy, but that really fucking hurt. I'm
Wow.
like, oh well, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Like I wasn't aware at the time. No one said anything, and I just saw it as him moaning, right?
Yes.
Um, but from that moment on, it became a lot of like, you know, being more in tune with the person in front of me. And I don't want to say like asking questions, because that's never really been my jam. Like, okay, does this feel good? Because that sometimes can ruin it, you know.
You can.
Does it feel good? Trying to get
You like
someone's
that,
like
baby?
you get their approval on what you're doing. Like, that's really sexy. Um, no, it's like you can when you when I'm with someone now, it's more like I can feel the difference between like something that might be hurting them and something that feels really good to them. And
Yeah.
and it's easier to see the difference in their facial expressions, their emotions, um and the sounds they make.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different experience now than it had been. And if I didn't have that experience, I probably would have continued to do the same thing, right? And I'm glad that he was honest with me. Sad that it didn't move much past that. I mean, we were only 18 years old at the time,
Yeah.
and I thought I was in love. Looking back on it now, I was just really enjoying the situation as it was, because it wasn't a situation I had ever really been a part of
Yeah.
before. But I'm grateful for that experience. I really am, because that taught me a lot. And
It sounds like it gave you opportunity to be a more conscious lover, to
for
be
sure,
a more, and that's the thing. It's so easy when we're in, the sexy part of our brain. It's very easy to misconstrue signals and moans. Like you're in one wave of frequency, and then they're in another, and yet we didn't know. But I'm glad that there was truth that we're able to come out of it, because with truth comes learning. And I bet you're a lovely, lovely conscious partner, and you will be for fun too.
yeah. Sorry, Lauren. I'll never be able to show you how much of a conscious lover I am.
I know it's only been like, oh my gosh, I don't want to age us, but yeah, it's only been like 15 years of trying. Whew. Oh, I
Listen, I
love
already said AOL chat room. I think we've aged ourselves enough.
it. They all know. Yeah, upper 30s, everybody. Okay. So, what is a common myth about sex or relationships that you wish people would stop believing?
um, they're not necessarily intertwined.
Ooh, yes, they're not. You can separate them.
Yeah, I mean, I lost my virginity when I was 13, right? And
Wow.
so for the longest time, it was always, okay, I'm having sex with this person, so that also means that I want to be in a relationship with this person, right?
Okay.
And while that may have been true in a lot of cases, it definitely wasn't always true. And then my it was mid 20s kind of rolled around, and I started dating this guy. This is someone actually you and I went on a road trip with.
Okay. Yep.
Um,
I remember
and
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it was really one of the first times that I had discovered that like I could be with someone and have, I don't know, just be with them and not want to have sex all the time, or we could have sex as much as we wanted, but it didn't necessarily mean that, especially towards the end, that we were romantically linked, right?
Yes.
We only dated for 4 or 5 months, and
That was
stayed friends.
it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah. Then
but
you
we
guys were
stayed
really good
friends
friends after.
for a
Yes.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Awful breakup, by the way.
Oh,
But he was very excited. He was new to the scene as well, and he was very excited about his first relationship. And we we saw eye to eye for the longest time. But the more I got to know him, the less physically attracted I got to him.
yes.
I became to, or he became to me, and that was a big bummer, because until that point, I had thought like, okay, well, if you're physically attracted to this person, you're always going to be physically attracted to this person, right?
You would
That's just kind
think.
of how it works. No, like you can actually stop being physically attracted to someone once you get to know them and their personality, right? And vice versa. You can not be attracted to someone and then become more attracted to them the more you get to know them, right?
Yeah.
And that one I can speak from experience as well. You know, I a former coworker, always thought he was like a crazy d bag, and you know, like he was kind of just always full of himself. But then I got to see his like nicer side, his kinder side, and
Yeah.
he wasn't exactly the most attractive person, but I could not stop thinking about how much I just wanted to fuck him.
Did you want to hate fuck him though? Was the question.
No, no,
Oh,
I
I
wanted
wanted to
to.
hate fuck quite a few, and I've told them that. They're
Yeah,
like, I'm scared of you. I'm like, you should be. But yeah, we did
I
it, and it was really good. So
I have been there, Lauren. I have totally been there. Sometimes I just
okay.
want to fuck them to shut them up, you know?
Yes, I fucking get that. So you've seen, all right, so that's a myth we can bust about both sex and relationships, about sex and relationships. It can
Yeah,
decrease as you get to know somebody, and it can increase as you get to know somebody.
yeah,
Wow.
and it's you know, it's about getting to know that person, and it's about, yeah, it's, I mean, it's also about how who you are and how you're developing as a person at that time as well.
Very true. Like, where are you and what are you looking for and what lights you up? Where are you connecting with that person? You know?
Hmm.
Hmm. You ready for the next question?
Sure.
All right. Do you think society's views on sex are becoming more open, or do we still have some work to do? Yeah,
You know, I think it tends to swing with politics.
it does, unfortunately, huh?
Yeah, like I cannot help feel but that we are entering into a more conservative, more repressed version of society. You know, like we people are going to start hiding who they are and what they like because of, you know, any number of things, right? It's not as not as accepted. The person you want to do it with is on the other side of the political aisle. You know, like those
Yeah,
things, they unfortunately they make a difference, right?
they do.
But we're also coming from a time that, you know, I feel like, I mean, I had no problem talking. I still have no problem talking about sex. I will never have a problem talking about sex.
Thank goodness.
But I mean, I know that you know, when we tend to be in a more liberal time frame politically, that's when I tend to see more people open up and be more willing to show us who they really are or explore things that they might not explore because they feel safe, they feel
Safer.
comfortable.
Yeah, very much so. And that is just a topic that we could go on for days about. And it is an unfortunate thing. And I hope someday we can just come to a place where everybody feels safe, but the economy is great too. Like, I don't know where that is. Did you know that Canada has six political parties?
I'm sure it's more than that. Probably
Dude,
the
isn't that
sixth major.
cool? It's
We're
so cool, right? Oh, interesting.
and I'd
All
much
right.
rather we be in one of those situations.
They're also not tied into any of the political parties aren't tied into any gun laws or anything like that either. The politicians are not in pharma. They can't like I don't believe they can like invest in anything like that they have a control over. It's just really interesting. Sorry guys, side route. Ayo. Fred, let's talk about celibacy. Can you
Okay.
share a little bit with us about what celibacy is and what's going on for you?
Yeah. Well, first, let me tell you about the opposite of celibacy. So, like I said, I lost my virginity at 13,
Yeah.
right? And let's just say I didn't stop losing my virginity for a very long time, multiple times a year. Uh, you know, it was quite a bit. I can comfortably say that my partner count is in the triple digits. I just want to be also be clear about this that I am clean. I have no STDs and I've never gotten an STD. I've
Proud of you. Woo!
Thanks. I've generally been pretty safe. You know, there's always been some risky situations, but um, you know, sometimes it's hard to say no in the moment.
Yeah, very
I'm
much
sure
so.
you understand that.
I sure do.
Um,
I'm surprised I got out unscathed as well.
so, you know, I basically came from, you know, I was slutting it up all the time and enjoying life.
Yeah.
But then the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
And so when the pandemic hit, 2020, I was, you know, 32 years old and a little depressed. So it was kind of at the tail end of my sexual exploration for that time frame, right?
Yeah.
And when the world went into lockdown, unfortunately, so did my sex life.
Yeah.
And at first I was trying to find guys that would be willing to meet up during that time, and it really just wasn't happening. You know, everyone was too scared about what coronavirus was,
Yeah.
and what was not just happening to them, but how it could impact their families. I mean,
Yeah.
and every aspect of their life. So it just kind of became easier to cast that aside and kind of take care of it myself.
Yeah. You don't have to
Um,
stop when you masturbate, right?
exactly. You don't have to ask someone, "Hey, did that feel good?" You know.
I know it did. I did it right.
So
That sounds tough.
I I tried hooking up with someone last year. I met him on Grinder, and it was actually one of the last guys that I had hooked up with before the pandemic. Right.
All
And
right.
this was a kind of a tough situation for me because we hooked up and it was one of the hottest fucking hookups I have ever had.
Yeah.
Right. Like I, I was throwing him around. He was just all over the place. And like, I mean, it was very, very clear that it was, of, oh my God. I,
You
if I
reliving
didn't
it?
if I didn't find out afterwards through a text message that he had done meth, I probably would have had zero problem going back to him.
Oh, but like when did he do math? Like
See,
that
that's the
day?
thing. I never asked. I
Oh,
never asked.
Fred.
Yeah. Right?
Oh, Fred.
It was
Okay.
just one of those things that like someone had talked to me about prep and I can't remember who it was, but they were
Yes.
like, you should go on prep because you never know what the person's gonna do and what they're doing and who they're doing it with. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Right. Um, for anyone who doesn't know, by the way,
I would
prep
love,
is
yeah, I was going to ask
yeah.
you because I remember you telling me about it. I'm like, what is this? And you're
It
like, I decided to do this for myself. I'm like, I am so proud and happy to hear that this is a thing. Please tell the people at home what prep is and they can share it with their friends and let
yeah,
them
and
they can make that decision for themselves.
yeah, and I highly encourage it. It's called prep is it's pre-exposure prophylaxis. So basically, I mean, the simplest way to talk about it is it's HIV Teflon, right? So if somebody is HIV positive, and you're on this medication, it will help your antibodies prevent the HIV virus from attaching to your blood cells.
That's what
And yeah, I mean,
it's giving you away.
considering what considering what 30 years ago AIDS was really the death sentence that I mean now it's you could go undetectable for the rest of your life and have it have zero impact.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
medicine. Mm.
technology is great. I'm glad that prep exists. Even though my doctor was not super stoked about prescribing it.
Why?
I'm pretty sure she's just a prude.
Got it. And that's
Yeah.
there's a lot of views that can take place on something like this, and it just I don't know where we're in a world where Viagra is so spit out to have better sex. Why are things like this not spit out with as much enthusiasm for people to have safer, better sex? And it's just I'm so happy that it exists. And granted, it's a personal decision, but if there's any way for you to have more safer sex, I'm all for it without, making anybody feel shame or, the Yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And
Well,
you liked it, right? You enjoyed
yeah,
it?
I mean, I didn't have like having to take a pill every day. But
Mhm.
given my history with mental illness, it was it wasn't something that was going to change my day to day stuff.
Which is
Um,
good.
and and honestly, that was one of the reasons why I even talked to my doctor about it. But just continuing the aside a little bit, she um she actually wanted to put me on Viagra.
Oh,
The reason why she wanted to put me on Viagra though is because the antidepressants I was taking was definitely impacting my ability to get hard, right?
yes.
And so throwing a condom on top of that just almost made it impossible. So,
Desensitized, yeah.
mhm. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on who you ask, I was having unprotected sex for a while. And you know, I was making sure. So one of the things you have to do when you're on prep is you have to get tested every 3 months,
Yes.
right? You cannot continue it if you come up positive with any of these things. So, or if it impacts, your liver or your kidneys. So, I was getting tested every 3 months. So in my head, I was like, okay, well, this isn't as bad as it could be. I could not be getting tested at all and having unprotected sex.
Yeah.
So, it was not a great situation, but considering what it could have been, I suppose it wasn't that bad. Um, but that was what kind of led me to the situation with the last guy I hooked up before the pandemic, right?
Mhm.
Um, we did not have protection, right? I was not able to, and this was before I even went on prep. So
Yes.
when I found out that he had, because I think it was a mutual friend of ours was like, "Oh yeah, no, like he's very big into the meth scene." I'm like,
Oh, okay.
"What?" And then I freaked out and kind of overcorrected.
You think? And you've been celibate, not by choice, for how many years?
uh, well, I mean, if you don't consider the interaction with that same guy last year,
Okay.
I would say it's almost 5. Or actually, it's almost 5. And I honestly don't really know. You know what? I would have to consider that interaction. So let's say 4.
Okay.
But I still haven't had sex since him either. So,
Wow.
but he came over last year,
Mhm.
and we started going at it, and that was something that was in the back of my mind the whole time
About the meth?
about the meth,
Okay.
right? And mind
That's
you,
the thing.
I'm
You
on
said he
prep.
did meth, and then you just said meth scene. So that's quite a different thing, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. How did
So it's
that
kind of
affect your
like,
performance?
oh, it would absolutely did, right?
Oh,
And the other problem too is that like I'm one of 4 kids, right?
yep.
Both my parents. I'm the only one in my family who never smoked cigarettes, right? So
Mm.
cigarettes are actually they're a huge turnoff for me,
I know
right?
that sucks that we're besties. But thank
Like,
God you don't want to fuck me, right? So we're
right,
good. I'll smoke all
exactly,
I want.
exactly. So he must have smoked a cigarette before he came up because I could taste it on his breath, right? And so, I mean, I think we lasted all of 5 minutes, and he's a bottom, and
Okay.
I couldn't even let him fuck me, right? Like that's how turned off it was. Almost like I closed up for business.
Zip it up.
Yep, sorry, doors closed. So it was a huge turn off, and I just kind of ended it.
Yeah.
We never talked again, and I don't ever plan on talking to him again. But right now I'm living in a different state, and dating someone I live in Vermont, right? And I live in a
Mhm.
very rural area,
Yep.
and dating, being a single gay man in a rural area anywhere in the United States, it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
So, meeting the one guy that I felt comfortable with I mean, I guess I didn't really feel comfortable with, but I did feel comfortable with him at one point. But
Yeah.
it was probably the most comfortable situation I think I had found since I moved up here.
Wow.
And I just couldn't I couldn't perform. You know, it was I I just couldn't perform. And I'm not sad about it in any way. I want to be clear about that, right? Like it's not the end of the world to not have sex for a while, especially if you know how to appropriately take care of yourself, you know? Um
Appropriate, he says.
hey, everyone has
Yeah.
different needs. Sometimes you need toys, sometimes you need porn, sometimes you need, everyone has different needs, right?
Yeah.
If you know yourself very well and you know what you like, then not having sex is really not the end of the world.
Hmm. What has this period of celibacy taught you about your sexuality? If, besides, if it was just what you just said, that it's not the end of the world, was there anything else?
I am more prudish than I ever thought I was. That is something that these last few years have taught me. This celibacy session, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I
What changed?
Nothing changed.
Okay.
Nothing changed. When I was having sex, it was kind of just it was vanilla. We would kiss, kind of do the, you know, it would be very sensual, but it was kind of
Okay.
like the same over and over and over again, right?
Okay.
There was not really a lot of variation. I kind of thought I knew what I liked and kept it to that.
Yeah.
Well, when you are celibate and celibate for a long time and you're watching a lot of porn, you discover things that you like that you never thought you would have, right?
Ooh.
Or even that you forgot about, but just kind of were reminded about, you know? One of the things was uh, public, just public sex, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a huge turn on for me, right? So,
Really? I'm terrified. My fiance
uh,
wants to have sex in the woods all the time. I'm like, absolutely not. But guess what? Then I'm watching porn of people getting, like by strangers getting fucked in like a park or like on a beach, and I love it. But other than that, I'm like, no, not for me. I couldn't even do it. So you
hey,
tell me more. Sorry, I got excited.
I got a question for you though, Lauren,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen if someone catches you?
I don't know. They're gonna see my stuff, but like I didn't ask if they wanted to see my stuff. I feel like this person needs to give consent to see my bare ass. You know?
Okay, all right,
I don't want
that's
to
fair.
shock anybody and traumatize anyone. If you want to watch, then you should probably put $1 in this like little like guitar case before coming up to watch. I just can't get comfortable enough. I don't want to traumatize anybody. But like best case scenario is someone watches me and then they just masturbate from afar. Like that would be fantastic. Female, male, I don't give a shit. But I just don't want anybody to be like, oh my God, and then like just not be okay with life and going
Yeah.
out in public.
Well, okay. Well, this is something I think you might be surprised to know.
Okay.
Um, there are dedicated places where people go at times to do these things
Ooh.
where people will go and have sex.
Hmm.
And then there may be, like someone who comes and watches, a couple of people come and watch, and then they start having sex. Like these hookup spots, they're not exactly, like well known.
Okay.
Sometimes the police know about them, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
Um, but there's a community of people who get out there and do these things. And there's a level of, I mean, there's that in itself is consent. If you
It is.
are at a place at a certain time and you know what's happening in that area, well, you, you're consenting, and if you're there,
I
right?
agree. And that I would be fine with. And I love that these places exist.
Yeah,
Granted, so this is like outside. I've been to sex clubs. I've seen other people have sex. I've had sex in front of other people at these types of places, which is fantastic. And that's the thing. When the consent is there, I'm all for it. I love to watch and
sure,
be watched.
absolutely.
Interesting. Hmm.
There's actually a river, um, and the land by a river,
Yeah.
by this river it's in southern Vermont.
Everybody take
Is
note.
it, I hate to break it to you. Well, actually, it might be for you since you like to watch gay orgies.
I
But
do love gay orgies.
well, you can catch the live version at this
Woo!
river. The land
Okay.
itself is privately owned, and it's
Okay.
next to a publicly owned piece of land, right?
Hmm.
So you can hike through this privately owned piece of land, make it through the public land,
Yeah.
then through the private land to make it to this riverbank. And there are just guys all over the place. It's like this
Awesome.
riverside beach in southern Vermont, and of course it's in Vermont, right? Of all freaking places.
Well, yes.
But you can go and like you can just nude sunbathe, or you can go and fuck in the woods, or fuck right there on the beach. And
Ooh. Well, would you go with me? I
I
mean, you
wouldn't
don't
feel
have to
comfortable.
look at my face or anything, though, bro. But like, I'll just go to watch.
I wouldn't want to be the guy that takes a girl. So I'm
Oh,
sorry, love. I'm sorry. If I
is
were to
that
give
like
you
gay
direction,
code? Like, it's an unsaid thing. Like, no, don't bring a fucking vagina here, right?
generally, yeah. I'm sorry, kid. I mean, I know someone who might be willing to take you.
Okay.
Actually, that same ex that we went on the road trip, he's the one who told me about it.
Well, he knows some things. That one, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, I think his husband told him about it.
Perfect.
So
Right.
it was really weird because at the time, him and his now husband, they
Mhm.
had broken up after being in a relationship for a year. And, me and the ex had gone there as friends.
Yeah.
And then his other ex shows up, and it's like this awkward fucking situation, right?
Oh.
Lauren, you know how I get when I'm stoned. I get super awkward. Sometimes I'll get like paranoid. It's not uncommon for these things to happen. But then I'm out in public doing this thing that is like taboo, and
Already.
I'm already nervous as all hell. And then his fucking ex shows up, you know?
Oh, way to ruin the moment, huh?
Oh my God. It was awful. It was awful.
I love finding out about new things, and that's the thing. When you talk about new exciting things and share it with people, it's always a nice thing. So if anybody has any other public places that they know about, feel free to email me at coachlaurengoyet@yahoo.com. I love to hear about the things so I can pass it on to the people. And we're going to finish our we could talk for hours, obviously. So but I really want to get your take on how the trends with the dating apps, how has it grown? Like gotten worse, gotten better? So let's, for example, say Grinder. Grinder still around?
Yeah, a grinder's still around. Yeah.
Or has it gotten better or worse?
It's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I'm not big on the dating websites at the moment. Mostly
Mm.
because they're showing me the same five guys that live in Vermont. They're on all the same apps.
Okay.
And
I
if
see.
I go out of like a 10 or 15 range or 15-mile range, it ends up showing me guys from Montreal, and I, I need to renew my passport first. So
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Mm-mm. So after this celibacy period, right? Are you looking to meet somebody organically?
yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay.
It, and it's funny you say that because so last night my another friend and we started this thing where we're just once a week video calling each other and making the same meal together, right?
Yes, I love
It's
that.
it's cute, it's cheesy, but it was a lot of fun, right? Um she told me she had this guy that she wants to set me up with from her work, and it was like it was weird because I don't generally like my friends never set me up with anybody. It just doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Um, so to have someone like come out of the woodwork all of a sudden, she's like, "Well, you're moving back, so he lives in the area, so now I can introduce you guys." I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't you talk about him before? And she's like, "Well, you don't live in the area, so what would be the point?" I'm like,
Oh,
okay, that's
that's
fair.
fair, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. And then she
Hmm.
she started describing him, and like the more she described him, the more I was like, okay, like I can get down with this,
All
right?
right.
You know? So we'll see how that goes. Moving back in within a couple of months. So, you know.
I'm so ecstatic. The one person that I had in mind for you, unfortunately, he started seeing somebody. So, yeah, we can talk about that at a different time. You will
It,
meet him. He's lovely. You'll meet him now.
was he at your engagement party? Because I think I may have
Yeah,
already
you
met
met
him.
him then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a queen. He's something. What a beauty, huh?
Yeah,
All
I'm not
right.
gonna lie. I wondered a little bit why you didn't try to set us up in the first place, but
Yep.
then I really thought like, I live in fucking Vermont, 3 hours away. Why would she set me up with him?
Yeah, he got really serious with this guy, and they are moving in together. So, other than that, it was intended that you two were going to be set up at my wedding, but we weren't
Oh,
going to tell either one of you.
but that's really good for them. Like they found something that worked for them, and they're happy and moving forward. I love that.
And
It.
that's the thing. He can tell you who's around. He's got big mouth. He'll tell you all the things. He's in Worcester, so you can
well,
talk to him. I mean, to get to know more people is a cool thing too, right?
well,
And
now I know why this guy wants to move in with them. He's got a big mouth.
he does get a big mouth. I can't wait for him to listen to this. That's a hoot and a half. All right, my friend. Last question, and we are gonna wrap this up. I love all of these questions. They're fun. All right. If there was a class on relationships they're being taught to kids right now, right? Not kids. I'm gonna say like young adults, right? 15, 16, whatever. What is one topic that you think should be mandatory? What should be
Yeah,
mandatory here?
consent,
Yes.
consent, 100% consent.
All right. All right. I hear you. And I think we're getting there. So things such as Facebook, these are becoming secondary teachers, not just, education in the school system. And that's what we're going for. It's sex with somebody else is a two-way street, and you would want them to make sure you're cool with everything that's happening. And there's ways to do it in a sexy way, and there's ways to be really fucking weird about it too. But I can do a whole different episode on that.
Maybe you should
I think I should. We should. I think that'd be good.
to get
Friend,
a sex ed teacher on here.
yes. Do you have anything that you would like to say to our listeners before we go?
Hmm. Don't don't think that because I can't get off to Lauren that she's not attractive, because she is drop dead fucking gorgeous.
And guys, never give up. Like, it's just, we're going to go through ebbs and flows in life, and how you want to define what that means to you makes all the difference. As I'm looking at somebody who is single and chosen to be celibate and is having the best sex with himself of his whole life, and he doesn't have to rush to get into something. So when he does get into something and find somebody, it's going to be real and it's going to be right. And I think that's kind of something that we learn as we get a little older. We're late bloomers, right? I'm about to get
Mhm.
married at 37. We're a little late to the game. And I think that's a beauty in it. We get to learn so much more about ourselves and our sexuality as it grows, as we grow too. And I'm just really happy that we're on this journey together. And I appreciate you coming and talking so openly to my gentle listeners. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
Fantastic. All right, friends, until next time.
Love it.